My work gave me the day off on a random Wednesday, and I decided to go full suburban divorcee with my long drop shoulder cardigan and my coffee. It's like you could picture me standing outside of my house waiting for my ex-husband to pick up my children. Just like, Joe, make sure they're back home by noon on Sunday. They have hockey practice. Welcome back to the Cozy Moth podcast. My name is Caitlin. This is a podcast where I talk about my knitting and fiber arts projects, whatever I've been working on. I've been doing this podcast for a little over 2 years now at this point. It was kind of like dead during 2022 for various reasons, but now I'm trying to get back on it. So I am recording this podcast on a random Wednesday, as I mentioned in my intro. So I've decided to spend the day watching, what I knit in 2022 and my knitting plans for 2023, and it's got me inspired to make my own video, though I have really not much to show for 2022 because I spent maybe 2/3 of the year, maybe a little bit more, not knitting at all. I was just going through it, and it took, I just didn't knit for most of the year, or crochet or whatever. So I've recently picked it back up. And I'm in full force. I've got the mojo back. I'm fully in, and I'm ready. I'm excited for what the year has ahead of me. So I don't have all the garments I knit in 2022, which is so impressive to see all, my knitting friends and other podcasters who I admire and enjoy, seeing them knit, 10 garments in a year. I'm like, that's amazing. I wish I had that ability to do that. I'll talk a little bit about what I've made in the past month, what I've made, what I finished. I had 2 advent calendars that I would like to, or advent, yarn advent things, and apologies for the state of my nails. I've had these for way longer than they should have, and I've had 2 casualties. So it's supposed to be pretty, but it's kind of sad. I guess I'll start with my finished objects. I have a bunch laying around here. Okay, I'll start with these. Last time I saw you guys, and I just realized right before I hit record, I was supposed to take note of the names of all the garments that I was going to show you and that I was working on. I brought up my laptop. My laptop's dead, and I didn't want to. Anyway, I'm lazy, so I'll just put the names of garments and stuff right here, see if I can remember them. But my first finished object I want to show you is a pair of socks, and these are I believe they're the homebody socks. I believe this Handmade Life or something along those lines was the creator of this pattern. It's super easy. Ooh. It is just a fingering weight yarn held with a mohair. I haven't worn them yet because they're just too pretty not to wear, or too pretty to wear. And it's very easy. It's a broken rib. The heel is an interesting style of heel as well. It was very interesting to work up. It kept me engaged. So I made these primarily at work because you know me, I've talked in the past about how I bring my knitting to work, and I'm not ashamed of it. My job, the past 2 jobs I've had, there's been a lot of downtime and a lot of me sitting around, so instead of me scrolling on my phone or pretending to work or playing solitaire, I bring a pair of socks to work on, which is why I make primarily socks, because I can't bring garments or anything to work, and that's where I get my most knitting done, is at work, which is kind of sad. And sorry to if someone in the higher ups of my institution sees this, sorry. But I do knit on the job, but look how pretty they are. Look how great of an artist I am. Anyway, I'm not an artist, I'm copying. But yeah, these are the socks. I thought about gifting these, but then I was like, no, I'm gonna keep them. I knit these up in, I have the band. I have like a giant bag that I keep all my other project bags in. And oh, there it is. This is the Periwinkle sheep in the colorway Rose Gold, and this is hand dyed in Albany, New York. I bought this pink yarn when Phil and I went to the Finger Lakes on a little trip back in May, and I'm finally just now using it. So yeah, I haven't like worn these officially yet, but I've tried them on and they're very soft and they're very squishy, and yeah, they're thick and like more like slipper socks. So I'm excited to wear these once it eventually gets cold here in Delaware. We had this crazy cold snap like right before Christmas, the weekend of Christmas. It was freezing, and now it is literally 65 degrees out today. Climate change doesn't exist, guys. It just doesn't. So that's finished object number one. A second finished object is a pair of socks that I've actually knit for a friend, and it's going to be a surprise. So you know who you are. I've told you that I'm knitting you a pair of socks. So if you happen to be watching this video, just skip ahead like 3 minutes. You should be fine. So I have decided to knit 3 pairs of socks, all the same pattern, for me and my little friend group, my ladies, my people. And they are the Walk in the Park socks. I believe that's what they're called. Fairly certain. I've already knit 1.5 pairs. But they're this really cute gingham patterned socks. And they're just so stinking cute. I love them. I'm obsessed with them. I've already knit myself half, because I'm gonna do one for me and my 2 friends. I'll show you the other half of mine in a little bit. But I really love this color combination for my one friend. I like the heel. I normally opt for a heel flap and gusset. Those fit my feet the best, but this pattern came with this heel because you do the pattern all the way around the foot instead of like with normally a heel flap and gusset, like the bottom of the foot, it doesn't have a pattern to it. But anyway, but yeah, I've really been enjoying it. These knit up super fast, and it's a super easy to remember pattern. It's easy to memorize. Yeah, I'm just really proud of these. I knit these up in, the pink is a cotton and wool blend. It was from Hobby. I don't remember the name of the yarn, but it's the same yarn I knit this little tank top in. So it's definitely more airy, a little bit more soft, maybe? I don't know how to describe it, but it's definitely stretchy. And then the white is just some unnamed white that I've had in my stash already caked up. But I like how they go together. It's kind of like this, it's not like a in-your-face kind of pink, but more like a muted, like mauve. And I'm really proud of these. I really love how they turned out. I knit the first one primarily at work during the week after finals when the library was just dead. So I normally don't take my socks like up to like the front where everyone can see me knitting, but because the library was basically empty, I brought it up and was just knitting on them all week. And yeah, I knit the first one in a week basically. With the getting up and moving around and doing all kinds of other things. And I knit the second one over, what's it called? Over New Year's weekend. And I watched, I know I'm late to the party, but I watched Dairy Girls My aunt's fiance actually told me to watch Dairy Girls, and we watched a couple episodes when I went up to visit him or visit them, and it was so funny. So I'll think of Dairy Girls when I knit these socks. Highly recommend that show if you haven't watched it yet. It's on Netflix. So funny. Anyway, I'm past the 3-minute mark at this point, I think, for my friend to skip to, so I won't show them again. But those are the Walk in the Park socks, and I have, 1.5 more pairs to knit up. I have until January 9th or 19th, and I think I'm gonna do it. So yeah. So that's another finished object. I'm gonna put over there. Just moving things from here to here. I think that's it for my finished objects. Oh no, there's another one. I can't bear to look at. So I knit the window pane sweater or pullover. And I was obsessed with this pattern. I was obsessed with it. I loved how it looked, how it fit. It's kind of like a boxes sweater. So you knit, it's bottom up, and every few rows you knit the contrast color. And then once the sweater is finished, you go back in and either surface crochet or what's it called? Basically embroider a duplicate stitch on top, vertical stripes. And I tried my hardest to do the surface crochet because it looked the most clean, but I'm still not the greatest at crochet. I can only do really granny stripes, and it doesn't really matter if you mess up, it still looks fine in the end. But I kept twisting it and everything, and it was making me angry, and I couldn't figure out the holding of the yarn, and it was just driving me crazy. I'm like, I'm gonna duplicate stitch. It's gonna take me forever. I hate duplicate stitch, but I'm gonna do it. And I spent hours, days, duplicate stitching the vertical lines on this sweater, and it's fine. It turned out okay. I was pleased with how it turned out. I spent Christmas Eve, I literally spent 8 hours on my couch watching just YouTube, with YouTube in the background, catching up on Vlogmas and everything, duplicate stitching this sweater. And I realized, after I knit the sweater, I'm so bad at math. And I was trying to make sure everything was even, and on paper it looked even, but this line in the middle is 1 stitch off, and it drives me crazy. And it needs to be 1 stitch over this way. Pain. But I'm like, okay, no one's gonna notice, only I notice, and now all you guys notice. But I have this Christmas Eve service that we're going to at our church. It's going to be absolutely freezing. It was snowing at the time. It snowed, but it never stuck. So this would be the perfect sweater to wear in the old building that our church holds its services in. And I put it on, and I was like, there's something wrong. There's something wrong with this sweater. I don't know what it is. There's something wrong with it. I made the sleeves a little long. I normally like a long sleeve. I don't like it. I like a sleeve to come to here. I'm very much a sleeve holder. I'm one of those, not like other girls, hold the sleeve, like Ariana Grande with the big, sweater, sleeves over her hands. I've always been that way. I like my hand. A lot of people like their sweaters to be this length. It drives me crazy. I'm always pulling at them. I need them to be a little long. So I'm like, okay, there's something wrong. And it was just hanging really heavy. And it looked like I had orangutan arms because of the weight of the sleeves. Look how wide that cuff is. It's really wide. The weight of the sleeves were just bringing the sweater down. And I was like, oh no. So I was like, well, what if I do I have these little um, like hair ties. And I'm like, what if I like just do a hair tie? They're black. I'll do it right here, you know, for the time being. And I can still wear the sweater to church. And, you know, it was my Christmas sweater. I've had a couple Christmas sweaters the past couple years. Like, it's my Christmas sweater. Like, it's done. I'm really proud of it. I worked so hard on it. I spent hours upon hours on this thing, days. And I tried putting tried cuffing it to make it look more of a balloon sleeve. And it looked like clown sleeve. It's not like my Cozy Classic Raglan, where these balloon sleeves, like they're, like they match the garment and they, what's it called? Like they're proportional. Like these were not proportional. And it was a little too cropped, and maybe like 2 centimeters too cropped, because it was bottom up. And like, I hate a bottom up sweater because I have to try it on, because I've kind of talked in the past about how my chest like lifts up the front, but it's not like, so everything goes off my bust size, but so my bust size might say I'm an extra large, but I'm really like a medium to large. So that can get frustrating, but I do also love an oversized garment. So I normally just go with the bust size, but this like just wasn't doing it for oversized. And I was so upset and just so distraught. And I was like maybe like I'll give it a couple days. Like maybe on Christmas Day, I'll feel better about it. I've been sitting at home all day. I'm feeling frumpy. I drank iced tea and Swedish fish. That's what I had all day. So I'm just like not feeling myself. I'm tired. I have a headache. The barometric pressure's off. Like maybe this is just how I feel about the sweater today. I will try on Christmas Day. Spend Christmas morning with my family, go back home, spend the afternoon with the dogs, make sure they're okay before we head back out to see my dad's side of the family. I put on the sweater again. I'm like, ding dang, I'm still feeling like crap in this sweater. Well, let me do the cuffs again. Like, okay, maybe I'll put it off. You know, I'll do it. Try it on different pairs of pants, wide leg pants, skinny jeans, a skirt. I was trying to find the best option and it just wasn't happening. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, okay, it's Christmas Day. I ate a lot of gluten. I do have celiac disease, by the way. I ate a lot of gluten, feeling bloaty, not feeling myself. I'm just going to put this away. I'm going to put it in the knitting room. You know, I'll take the week to like really, you know, cleanse myself of the gluten, and I will try again the New Year's Day when we go to church. Well, New Year's Day again, tried on the sweater, did the cuff thing, seemed like, okay, I'm going to figure it out. Put on some jeans. Like, I'm feeling myself. I got good night's sleep. You know, like, I'm going to see my church family. I'm excited to see everyone. We weren't there on Christmas, so I feel like we've been away for months, but even though it's only been a week. Try it on, and I'm like, I'm going to go. And we're about to step out the door. And I'm like, nope, I'm not going in this. I'm finding something else to wear. And I realized as I was looking in the mirror that this green like brings out like the witch undertones. If you've seen 30 Rock, I've made this joke before about the witch undertones when Liz Lemon holds up the sweater and her face turns like green, like Wicked, and like the movie, the Broadway play, Witch Undertones, and it does not go well with my skin tone. And I think that's like, because I had bought, you know, elastic. I was going to sew the elastic on the inside of here. I was thinking about ripping back the cuff, which just sounds absolutely excruciating, and, you know, knitting it closer, like doing knit together every stitch instead of every other stitch, just to like make it more natural. Now it's like I had all these plans, and then I was like, it's the color. It's the color of the sweater that is throwing it off. So I'm kind of disappointed. And I'm like, maybe I just have to, you know, excuse me, as many of you have seen in the past, if you look at my past videos, I look darker because I do the self tan every once in a while. I went through a phase in 2020 where I was always doing the self tan because it made me feel nice. It covered my, you know, acne scars and everything. Maybe I need to do the self tan and then it'll look good. So we'll see. So I'm not giving up on the sweater. It is very pretty, but you can see, like, look how low the sleeves hang compared to the hem of the sweater. I know it's kind of hard to see, but yeah, the witch undertones. And I do love a drop sleeve. I have other drop sleeve sweaters that I love, but this just wasn't it. And just disappointed. Maybe I'll find like a different pair of pants to wear it with, like, I don't know. We will see. But for right now, this is just going in the sadness pile. I'll come back for you. But yeah, so that's my last finished object. I think probably the only garment I really knit in 2021, like started and finished in 2022. I think so. Yeah, because I had like started this one in late 2021 and finished it in early 2022. So I don't count that. But that one's the only garment I made. Like, wild, very sad. I had so many plans for 2022 and they did not work out. So let's move on to works in progress. I have quite a few things planned out. So I guess I'll start with these. Back in Christmas of 2020, I had knit everyone in my family a pair of socks. And very quickly, my dad wore holes into his socks. And we kept going back and forth like, oh, I'll mend them for you so you can keep wearing them, because he loves these socks. He wears them all the time. Like, you can see, like, there's pills. Like, he gets a lot of wear out of them, which is great. It makes me happy, but he did wear down the heel. I made him another pair of socks that have the heel flap and gusset, the reinforced heel, and he has not worn those out, thankfully. So I just need to hem these or mend these, and I'm nervous about it. It's not going to look pretty, I know that, but at least it'll get the job done. He can keep wearing them. And both he and my mom on Christmas, you know, it's Christmas, a few glasses in, where, you know, it's a long day, long week. They were like, my family calls me KK, and only my family will call me KK. Don't go in the comments calling me KK, but they're like, KK, what? Like, we were expecting some knitted items for Christmas. You didn't make us any knitted items. I'm like, I didn't knit all year. And they're like, oh man, like, we always look forward to like the socks or the hats or whatever. I'm like, I'll make you guys something. I'm like, Dad, when I bring you back these mended socks, I will also bring you back another pair of socks, which I'll talk about in a little bit. So these are on my to mend list, and I'm nervous about it. So they're gonna sit here until I build up the courage to mend them. So that is a work in progress, though it has not been worked on quite yet. I don't know if I want to get one of those, like, I don't know what they're called, but they're like a little, like, wooden, like, dowel, and there's like little pokey things that stick up, and you put it in the sock and use it to kind of like weave. I know, like, you don't have to use that, but I think it might be a good thing for me to use for the sake of it being my first time mending. So I'm gonna watch some YouTube videos, figure out what the best option is for me. So we'll move on from that. Oh, I forgot to mention, the yarn that I use for this sweater, the green is Pearl Soho Plenty in the colorway Laurel Reef, not reef like coral reef, colorway Laurel Wreath, and the contrast color is Ozetta's yarn that I don't believe that she sells anymore, but I had bought it for this sweater, and I still have a skein and like 3/4 left over. So I decided to use it with this, which I think is a cool color combination, but it just doesn't look good on me as of right now. So anyway, back to the thing. Then I have a second pair of walk in the park socks, which again, my friend, skip ahead 2 minutes. This shouldn't take any longer than that. And I have one, and these were originally going to be colors that I was making for my other friend, because I had already knit the one pair. But then I was working on it, and I was like, I'm keeping these for myself. I am a big sage green girly, and I'm like, I'm keeping these for myself. And I knit them a little bit too small too, and like her feet are bigger than mine. My friend's feet are bigger than mine, so this isn't gonna fit her anyway. Sorry. So yeah, this is my first sock. I knit this in like 2 days. It went by so fast. I'm really proud of it, and it because the colors are so like light and similar. Like it's hard to like see if I can like block out there. That's a little bit better. Block off the sun. It's hard to see the pattern. It's like really subtle, but I really like it. So that is the first half of the walk in the park socks, and then for my other friend, I am going to stick with the white as a contrast color, but then the primary color is going to be this blue, and I think it's going to look really, really nice, and I'm excited to start these. So hopefully I'll start these next week or by this weekend. Then I have my hockey projects, which I'll go through very quickly. Last I spoke, I was talking about how great the Kraken were doing, and they had this big blue patch, but they had a really crappy December. So there's more losing games than winning games after the big winning streak in November. So womp womp, what a shame. But they're going to be in the Winter Classic next year, which is a big deal. So excited to see that. So like that's not much from that. This is for those of you who don't know, I am a Seattle Kraken hockey fan, and I am knitting this cowl and keeping track of all the winning games and all the wins and losses. I trip myself up when I'm talking about. I feel like losses isn't a real word when I say it. So every time the Kraken wins, I knit a stripe of this like aqua color. When they lose, I do a stripe of the dark blue, and then here's just a little hem at the bottom. So we're about a little less than halfway through the season, so it's going to be a long cowl. But then once I wear it, which I like a cowl that's close to my neck, my goal is is to have this done. Obviously, I've been following, like I knit a stripe the next day after the game because they're a West Coast team, so I normally don't get to watch them play because their games are like at 10, 11 o'clock at night. Anyway, Phil and I, my husband, plan to go back to Seattle next year and see a Kraken game, and my goal is to wear my cowl to the Kraken game, and yeah, I'm excited for that. So that is this cowl, and I can't remember the name of the cowl, but I'll have it here and or linked in the description. So that's my one hockey project, and the second one has to do with fantasy hockey, which I am also tracking the weeks that I lose and the weeks that I win. My hockey team is called the Aesthetic Bedsheet Ghosts, and it is the best team name out of our whole group. I turned the heel, and we're getting on to the foot. So here we are as of right now. The pink stripe is when I win a week. The green stripe is when I lose, and I went through a big losing streak as the heel was being turned. And now the past 2 weeks I've won, but it looks like halfway through This new week, I'm not doing so hot, so I'll probably have another green stripe. But I hope that this works out well in terms of it fitting my foot at the end of all this. But I don't know. So we'll see what happens with that. Simple stuff. The green is a Knit Picks color. I believe it was called like Rosemary. It's just a sock weight yarn. And then the pink is a Knitting Nakabi yarn. It was from her Advent last year, her Labyrinth Advent. And the colorway is, I believe it's You Have No Power Over Me. I'm fairly certain. I always forget, like the 3 times I've talked about this. You Have No Power Over Me. But yeah, so that was just a quick little update. I know this is going to get really boring. You're going to have to deal with this until April? I don't remember how long hockey goes on for. I'm only a new fan, okay? Like, don't judge. Next, I haven't started yet. These next 2 projects I haven't started yet. But, again, along the same vein of my parents saying that they were sad they didn't get knitted items for Christmas. My mom came to me later in the evening on Christmas and was like, KK, I want you to knit me a cardigan. And I said, okay, fine, whatever. She's like, I'll pay you. I'm like, even better. Like, sounds awesome. All I need to do is knit it. And I'm like, yeah, sure. Send me a picture of what cardigan you want me to remake for you. And she's like, I know exactly what cardigan in my closet I want you to remake. I'm like, okay, fine. I can find a pattern on Ravelry. I can figure it out. So she sent me her picture. And it was one of these kind of cardigans. It's the one that doesn't have a button band and it's a little bit longer and, you know, crossover. So I went over to her house after she sent me that picture. And I found a pattern that was pretty similar to the one that she wanted. I'll post a picture somewhere and the name of the pattern. And I pulled up Knitting for Olive and I was like, you know, fairly inexpensive yarn. It should be fine. And she picked this Knitting for Olive merino wool in the colorway Claret. So it's like this Merlot colored red and it's beautiful. I'm a little spooked because when I looked at the pattern and calculated meters needed, it said I only needed 6 skeins and I don't believe it. I'm a little nervous about it. I feel like this is not going to be enough. This is fingering weight. I've never knit a fingering weight garment, so maybe this is perfect. I even like ordered an extra skein, like to be, quote unquote, to be safe. But I feel like this is only going to give me the body, maybe the button band. So my hope is to at least get the body done in this colorway, this dye lot. And if I need to add more, then those will be the sleeves and it won't be like a big difference, hopefully. So I'm gonna pray. Maybe this will be, maybe it'll just keep going. Like, and maybe I'll be pleasantly surprised. But I feel like this is not gonna be enough yarn for a cardigan. But who knows? My mom is smaller than me. Maybe this will work out fine. We'll see what happens. So pray that this yarn goes longer than you expect it to. Next, because everyone was talking about knitting, my baby sister, she's not a baby anymore, she is 18, but my baby sister came up to me and was like, KK, she's like, remember when you knit us all those Harry Potter scarves? I'm like, yes, I've knit quite a few since. She's like, can you knit me another one? She's like, I'm no longer a Gryffindor, I am a Slytherin. So I said, okay, I'll make you another one. So I went to Michael's and bought yarn to make her a Slytherin scarf. Hopefully this will be enough too. This is worsted weight instead of DK, so hopefully it'll go by quickly. So we'll see what happens with this. You guys have seen me knit Harry Potter scarves in the past. They're very easy. And this is just a Red Heart Super Saver. It's just acrylic, yep. I mean, like all the, with the exception of one Harry Potter scarf that I knit for my aunt's fiance's son, which I knit in wool, all the other Harry Potter scarves I've made have been knit in acrylic, and they do just fine. So I'll eventually get to this. Sorry, Mia, I'll eventually get to it. Okay. Oh, and then today I decided to pick up my granny stripe blanket yet again. I've only done an extra row. This is from last year's yarn advents that I purchased from Stress Knits and Knitting Nakabi. This is how far I've gotten. I've noticed that the more I do, the more comfortable I am with crocheting, and the bottom row is very tight, so it is curving a little bit. But I just expect this just to be literally a blanket that I throw over like my bed in my guest room once it's done, once the blanket's done. So I'm not stressing too much about it, but I am kind of like disappointed in myself. And I did decide to, cause I spent literally all year, the blanket has pretty much looked like this for 11 months, and see, look how it's curving. Anyway, so I decided that I was going to really, focus on this blanket this year to get through it, because I have 2 other advents, technically 3, that I want to either add to this or make into something else, but I want to get through this. And I decided, you know, I have my intentions of having a knitting journal. It's a little Muji notebook. And I decided to, because I love checking off things, to just do like a granny stripe blanket progress, and excuse my handwriting and my horrible, you know, it works for me. So far I've tackled 6 skeins out of the like the 56 skeins that I have to get through. So we'll see what happens. I did the Knitting Nakabi advent did have 31 mini skeins, because she went straight to the end of the year instead of to Christmas. So I did make a mistake here, so like ignore that on the Stress Knit side. And I've just been alternating Stress Knits yarn and a Knitting Nakabi yarn, and just going through. I just spent the morning crocheting, and I was like, this is nice. And hopefully I'll get to a point where I'll be able to, like, I kind of like put off the crocheting because I can't crochet and like watch a movie or crochet or do something else like I can do with knitting. So hopefully the more I do this, the more comfortable I will get. So my hope is to just tackle a stripe every night or so, or a few stripes a week, or meaning like one mini skein. And we'll see what happens. Hopefully I can get through this. That's the plan. So yeah, those are my works in progress, and I will talk to you now a little bit about the yarn advents that I got this year. I didn't talk about them on Instagram. I'll talk about the one and the debacle with the one, that not to the fault of the yarn dyer in any way. This was on me, but I'll get to that in a little bit. So the first yarn advent that I got was the Only Crafters in the Building, Only Murders in the Building themed yarn advent, which was a collaboration of Archaic Yarns and Earl Grey Fiber Company. It's all in here. So Only Crafters in the Building. Fun little guy. You can go to, I'm not going to show them all individually because I don't remember which one is which. I didn't like keep track of them. But I will show you the final skein, which I thought was so cute and made me really happy. So for those of you who have seen Only Murders in the Building, if you haven't, highly recommend. It's on Hulu, worth the Hulu subscription just to watch it. It's adorable. Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez are all in it. They all do fantastic. My last year's Christmas sweater was based off of a sweater that Selena Gomez wore in the show. So many great knits in that show. Worth giving a shot. But there is a... you learn in like the first episode that Selena Gomez's character knits. It's kind of why like she always wears sweaters. She knits. And there was a plot line in the second season where one of the tenants dies. It's the building that they all live in, the Arconia. And one of the tenants dies, and they find a knitting needle in the person's like body, like stabbed with a knitting needle. And everyone thinks that Selena Gomez's character does it, but we learn otherwise. I mean, that's not really a spoiler. Like, of course, the main character didn't do it. So the final skein that was done in collaboration with Earl Grey and Archaic is Arconia sock. The Arconia, it's a beautiful, like, dark mauve brown. And look, it has a little knitting needle with blood on it. It's all glittery. That is also a callback to the show if you haven't watched it. But yeah, beautiful sock base, gorgeous. There's little flecks of red in it. I'm excited to knit this up into something. I don't know what. But yeah, so that is the final skein for that advent. And again, I'm not going to show you all of them. That would take forever, and I don't remember which one is which, and that's a little too much work that I'm not willing to do right now. When you can just go on Earl Grey and Archaic Yarns and just look at the colors over there. This was a really great advent. I'm really proud of them. They did fantastic. I wanted to get yarn from both of them for a while, and I just saw this theme and I snatched it up immediately. And yeah, so that was my first advent. And my second advent was from Sweet Kelsey of Knitting Nakabi. You know how much I love her yarns. She's just absolutely fantastic. This year, she did something a little bit different. She did, instead of a conventional Advent yarn calendar thing, she did a New Year countdown. So it started December 26th and ended on January 1st. And her theme this year was Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, I think. Was it Willy Wonka or Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? It was the Gene Wilder one. When I went and visited Kelsey back in October of 2021, she did tell me what the theme was going to be, and I was so excited. And I was so excited to see how this turned out, and it is just fantastic. But something a little tragic did happen to this box. And again, this has nothing to do with Kelsey. This has everything to do with me. So the box came in, and because I was so anxious and ready, I just opened the top of the box to see, this was before the countdown had even started. I opened up the box, I saw all the little pieces, and was like, oh, so exciting. I'm going to close the box, put it in my knitting room. I'll get to it when it's time for the countdown. However, I was going to work, and I stopped in this room to grab supplies I was gonna make another pair of socks at work. So I stopped in here, and I didn't close my door all the way, the door to this room. The box that Kelsey sent was full of it's Willy Wonka, so there's chocolate and candy and whatever. Blue, everyone's favorite stupid greyhound, decided to come upstairs and wander around in my knitting room. And she ate all the chocolate in the box, and she opened up two of the little baggies that had the yarn in it. Thankfully, she didn't destroy the yarn. One of the skeins is like a little, just like, you'll see it. But she didn't touch the yarn. She just wanted the snacks that were in the box, and I felt so bad. It was a mess in here. And Blue has eaten like boxes of chocolate, and she is fine. So Blue was fine. I wasn't worried about her. We gave her rice and water. She was fine. But I did feel really bad that I didn't get to enjoy the box as a whole. So I am sorry, Kelsey. That was on me for not paying attention, not closing my door all the way. But your yarn, that's the main focus, was beautiful. So I don't remember in what order this is in, but I will go through and show you. So here is, because there's only there's only 7, so I'll show you. And these are all 50-gram skeins, and there were other little like goodies like pins and stickers and stuff. But I won't go through all that. But I'll show you her 50-gram skeins. The first one that I have here is a golden ticket, which is dyed with turmeric. And if you don't know, Kelsey dyes all her yarns with natural dye. She doesn't do like chemical dyes or anything. It's all natural ingredients. So turmeric, very turmeric yellow, gorgeous color. Skein number 1. Then we have Oompa Loompa, which is marigold and madder root. There we go, nice and pretty. Matches really well with the golden ticket. That would be a cool sock. This is the one that Blue got too. This is Willy Wonka, which is dyed with logwood. You can see the little purple and white situation. I'm surprised that this was like the worst damage. Whoop. This is the worst damage Blue did. I was like expecting like the yarn to be completely all over the place. It's a shame. Anyway, then we have Snozberries, which is indigo and logwood. Blue and purple situation. Slugworth with onion skins, very beautiful dark pine green. And then we have Wonka Bar, which is cochineal, cute little purple situation. Blue kind of got to this one too. It was a little bent, but didn't ruin didn't ruin the yarn, thank God. Blue's not that stupid. And then her final skein is this one. This is absolutely beautiful, which is Pure Imagination, which is hibiscus and onion, marigold, hibiscus and onion skins. So look at that beautiful green and blue situation. This is the full 100-gram skein, and then she added this hand-dyed little bag to it too. And I think there's a couple goodies in here. Yeah, it's a little stitch marker with Willy Wonka's hat and the little cup he drinks the like chocolate fountain from. I think he like bites the cup at the end. I haven't seen that movie in so long. But yeah, Kelsey knocked it out of the park again, as per expected. Really excited about this. I'm already thinking about socks that I can make these with because they're 50 grams. Put it in this little airy bag that they used to give out. But yeah, that is that's pretty much it. I will briefly talk about some general plans I have for 2023. I don't have like specific garments that I want to make. All I do know is that I want to knit through, I'm looking over here because my yarn is over here, so I'm sorry. I do want to knit through at least half of my stash. And I've been watching a lot of videos. I watched Knitty Natty's videos. I just watched Balance Skeins video on how they were doing like full stash, like only, like knitting through their stash, not buying any yarn. I consider my stash to be all the yarn that I have. I know Nitty Natty said that her stash is all like full skeins, like haven't been caked, haven't been used for any projects, anything like that. Her stash is just full skeins. But I consider my stash to be all my yarn, whether it be partial skeins, full skeins, etc. So I went and counted what I have for full skeins. They haven't been caked, haven't been used. I have 32 skeins of craft store yarn, so whether that be Michael's or Joann's, Knit Picks, or Schachenmeyer, or even Knitting for Olive, that's craft store yarn in my opinion. So yeah, 32 whole skeins of craft store yarn and 23 skeins of indie dyed yarn. So not too bad. For partial skeins, it's 24 partial skeins of craft store yarn and 31 partial skeins of indie yarn. So that's 55 for each category, so that is 110 skeins, whether it be partial or not, of yarn. So that's a lot. And I'm looking, for a while, I've been looking at my stash and feeling guilty about the state of it. I was watching Balance Skein, and she talked about how she buys a lot of fingering weight yarn without like a specific purpose. And so she just like collects all this fingering weight yarn, and that's basically what I'm looking at, is primarily fingering weight yarn, sock yarn. And I think about like all the socks that could be made, or all like the hats or the cowls. I'm not the type of person, I'm not into stripes, believe it or not, despite this one sweater that I knit in 2020. I'm not a stripe person. So when I buy a, or like when I look at my stash and people say, because I know people comment like, oh, like you could make like a shawl or a sweater. That's not my style. Unfortunately, I'd rather all my color and everything be in my accessories, not my primary garments. Not that a shawl isn't an accessory, but because they're so big, I know that I wouldn't wear it. Like my Andrea Mowry shawl, I don't even remember the name of it, but it has like 2 virtual dyes yarns in it. I don't wear it because it's 2 colors, but I wear my it's the Boneyard shawl. That's like the red one. I wear that one all the time because it's a single color. I normally keep my colorful things in my socks. So, I'm thinking about all the socks that I can make. I'm already thinking about getting a little, I'm thinking about Tracy from Grizzly Knits. And I think she did this last year, how she had a box designated for like gift knits. And, because I'm looking at my own personal sock box, and it's overflowing with socks because I'm very sentimental. So I'll be like, oh, like for these. Oh, these socks are sentimental for me because, and I knit these in Portland, and now they're my Portland socks. So every time I wear them, I think about Portland. Or, I don't know. Like all these socks that I have, they're either like test knits or like have some sort of sentimental value to them. And, or like, oh, that was my first skein of like stress knits yarn that I bought. Or like, oh, I knit those in Joshua Tree. Or this was a gift from someone. And I'm like, you know what? I need to just like move on from that way of thinking because I have so many socks and I'm running out of room for them in my sock box. So I'm like, I need to just knit through my stash and not worry about that sentimental kind of feelings. My goal this year is to not buy any yarn, except I have a couple exceptions. Sweater quantities worth of yarn I will buy because I have no sweater quantity worth of like a single color. Which is what I do my sweaters in. I don't normally do color work in my sweaters. Case in point, the sweater I was talking about earlier, it's normally a solid color. So I will only buy sweaters quantities worth of yarn, and I like to do a thing, I'm sure all of us do the same thing, if I go someplace new and there is a local yarn store where they sell like locally dyed or locally sourced yarn, I will buy a skein of sock yarn from them. Again, case in point, those pink socks that I showed earlier, it was yarn from the Finger Lakes. Well, it's not, well, at a store in in Watkins Glen amongst the Finger Lakes, dyed somewhat locally. So like Phil and I are going to several places this year, like Arizona, going back to the Pacific Northwest. So I will be buying individual skeins unless I find a specific sweater quantities worth of yarn and I buy it there. I know that I'm gonna buy a skein or two of locally dyed yarn from those small what's it called? Local yarn stores. So I know that's gonna happen. But yeah, my goal is to knit through most of my stash, and it is kind of a blessing that it is mostly fingering weight yarn, because as we know, I'm a sock knitting fiend. I bring my sock project with me everywhere, all days of the week. It's always in my bag. So whether it be at work or traveling or whatever, I always have my socks with me, so I know I'll be able to get through it. So those are my exceptions to my no buy 2023. So we'll see. Oh, and I do want to also keep track of the grams and yards that I knit per month. I know that I can't remember if it was both or one of the two, if it was 108 stitches and or Northern Knits and Pearl, who was keeping track of this is how many yards I knit this month, this is how many grams, and keeping track of that so that by the end of the year, this is like how many yards of yarn I used throughout the year to make this, that, and the other. I just found this to be interesting. I'm interested in like data like that, so that it's just intriguing to me. So I want to try to keep up with that and actually use this knitting journal as a knitting journal and actually keep track with it. So we'll see what happens this year. I know this episode was a little chaotic and a little all over the place. And I had a lot more to share than I thought I did. So thanks so much for checking in, stopping by, and I'm sure this video is amongst all your other new year, new knitting plans videos that have been coming out the past couple weeks. I know this isn't really one of those, but it kind of is a little bit. It was great to catch up with you guys. It's always great. Thank you so much for sticking around for all these years and all the different changes that have occurred here on this channel. I do, yeah, like I said earlier, I do have a bunch of other plans for 2023. I do love making those day in the life vlogs. I'm already thinking about other like travel vlogs I want to do, and we'll see what happens as the year progresses. But I will leave you here, and hopefully I will see you all in a month. That is my plan. Hopefully I'll have more projects to show you and to talk about. So I will leave it here for you guys. So stay safe, everyone. Keep knitting, and I will see you all later.